Here's the thing nobody starting an AI transformation wants to hear. The first question isn't, where do we put AI? The first question is, where's the actual leverage? If you can't answer that, AI just helps you do the wrong thing faster. My name is Mark Sirkin, and this is Playbook Broken. And for the next 30 days, we're running a sprint at Walk West, where I just started as Chief Growth Officer. The goal isn't to deploy AI. The goal is to find the leverage points that actually move the company forward. AI is one of those tools. It's not the headline. This is episode 1 of however many it takes. Let's get into it. So I'm new at Walk West. Week's new. I joined as Chief Growth Officer to help the agency think through where it goes next. Walk West is a 20-person or so marketing agency based in Raleigh, North Carolina. Marketing services, podcasts, content, websites, paid media, something called For Loop, where we connect all the dots, the usual stack of the capabilities a modern agency needs to provide its customers. The reason I took the role is the same reason I'm doing this series. There's a question every services business is staring at right now, and most of them are answering it badly. The question is, what does this firm look like on the other side of AI? And the bad answer is some version of the same firm but with ChatGPT subscriptions. That answer, it's not going to survive. Coming in fresh has one big advantage. I don't have sunk costs in how things are done here. I haven't earned my scar tissue inside this building yet. So I can ask dumb questions and point at things and go, wait, why? Why do we do it that way? That window closes fast though. The longer you're in place, the harder it is to see what's actually broken because you stop noticing. So this 30-day sprint is partly about Walk West. It's also about using my outsider window before it shuts. It's also the reason I'm doing this podcast. The setup is this. We split a chunk of the teams into 4 cross-functional groups. Each team gets 30 days. Each team picks a problem they think matters and tries to build something. That's the whole structure. No steering committee, no transformation office, no 20-page roadmap, just teams, problems, and a deadline short enough to force trade-offs. I'm going to bring you on this journey. I don't know how many episodes this is going to be. I don't know what each one's going to look like. Some might be solo like this one. Some might have a teammate on the mic. Some might be tight. Some might be longer. Whatever serves the story. What I can tell you is the lens. The way we're going to run these sprints is a loop, spot, build, and test. There's a scale component, but we're not going to worry about scaling it right now. Spot is finding the friction that actually matters. Not the loudest friction, but the one with the most leverage. Most of the value of a sprint hides in this phase, and most of the failure happens because teams skip it. Build is shipping something, not the perfect thing, the perfect right thing. In 2 weeks, not 2 months. The point isn't to be done. The point is to have something real you can put in front of someone. And then test is putting it in front of those real users, watching what they actually do with it, and being honest about what you see. The loop isn't clean. Spot bleeds into build, build sends you back to spot, test rewrites both. I'm going to follow the work, not a rigid arc. We're squarely in spot, and spot's bigger than one meeting. We held a company-wide kickoff on Tuesday morning. The whole team was in the room or virtually joining. Leadership framed the sprint, and the 4 teams got their charters, and we sent everyone off to figure out what they wanted to take on. Later that afternoon, I sat with one of the 4 teams as one of the mentors. Going in, I had a guess about what they'd want to fix because the product charters had some examples, time tracking being the top one. So I figured we'd whiteboard a way to talk about a Slack bot, declare victory, and move on. But to the team's credit, immediately identified that maybe that's not the right place to start. Maybe we should, in fact, take a step back. And so I guided the team and led them through an exercise really thinking about friction and where to find friction. What ended up having energy was something else entirely. We started talking about the messy space between the work is done and the client feels taken care of. Deliverables sitting in folders, templated emails sent every week that nobody enjoys writing, or probably reading. Clients with no clean place to see their stuff. One of the producers started describing her actual workflow. She has a templated email she sends every week to every client. Here's your folder, here's your video, here's your social clips, every week. And then almost as an aside, she mentions that in her own side projects, she's been using Claude and Notion to chew through transcripts and produce social content. She's been doing it for months in her own workflow. The team generated about 14 different ideas in that meeting in about 40 minutes. Roughly half of them have real upside. None of them have been chosen yet. That's the part that matters. And it's also where most teams are going to get it wrong. Here's where I want to slow down a little bit because this is the part teams blow. When Nick Saban, the football coach, talks about the process, he's talking about something specific. He's not talking about having a process document. He's talking about the discipline of focusing on what you do every day, not the outcome you want. You don't win a championship by thinking about the championship. You win it by doing the next right rep, and then the next one, and then the next one. Saban built that idea with a behavioral psychiatrist named Lionel Rosen back in the 90s, and it's the foundation of what people now call process thinking. More recently, Curt Cignetti, who also worked for Saban, just won a national championship at Indiana running a version of the same idea. His phrase that's been rattling around in my head is production over potential. You don't get points for what you might do, you get points for what you've actually shown. The temptation after a meeting, like on that first meeting we just had, is to walk out and pick what you're going to build. Grab energy in the room, declare the project, start working. That feels productive, but it's not Spot. That's skipping Spot to feel like you're moving. What Spot actually requires is the boring work between meetings. The team goes away, they think about it, they define what value actually looks like, they map the upside, they map where it shows up, who it shows up for, what would change if they did it. They connect the dots between the 14 ideas, because maybe some of them overlap. They pressure test which problem is actually worth solving and which one is just loud. They come back and decide what to build. If we shortcut that, we're not running a process, we're running on vibes. And vibes are how transformation efforts die. So day one was meeting one of Spot, not the end of Spot. The team has homework. I'll see what they bring back, and I'll tell you what surprises me. Here's the uncomfortable part, and it's why the series isn't first about AI. Most of what came up in that room wasn't an AI problem. It was a process problem, or is a process problem. Scope vagueness on SOWs, free work creeping in after a contract is signed, email threads 30 messages deep with 5 people CC'd and nobody owning the next step. Internal handoffs between teams that haven't worked together long enough to know each other's workflows. We talked ourselves into a couple of patterns. Let's route incoming client emails through an AI parser that creates Asana tasks. Cool idea. Underneath that idea is the fact that there isn't a ticketing convention at all. The AI doesn't fix that. It just makes the absence of one more obvious. That's the real lesson I think I took from day one. AI is a process diagnostic before it's a process replacement. If your AI roadmap can be solved with better SOPs, you don't have an AI problem or an AI roadmap. You have a process gap with a budget request attached to it. Which gets to the provocation, I think, of this episode. The teams that win the next decade aren't the ones who installed AI fastest. They're actually the ones who figured out where the actual leverage was and then used whatever tools AI included to take it. AI without leverage is just a more expensive version of the same firm. Leverage with AI is a different firm altogether. That's what this sprint is really about. Not AI, not really, but leverage, growth, and transformation. AI along comes for the ride, and it helps accelerate things. If you're starting one of these sprints yourself, 3 things from meeting one. Number 1, energy is data. The room will tell you where the leverage is, but only if you stop steering. When somebody lights up about something that wasn't on the agenda, follow it. When the agenda topic produces silence, that's also data. Number 2, the producer in the room often has the productizable insight, the producer being the person who does the work. The reason is structural. The people closest to the actual work have already built the workarounds. You're not inventing a solution. If something gets picked, you'll be harvesting it. Leadership has framing. The producer has the prototype. You need both. Number 3, don't decide in the meeting where you generate the ideas. Spot's a phase, not a meeting. The work between meetings, defining value, mapping upside, connecting dots is where Spot actually happens. Trust that even when the energy in the room makes it feel like you already know the answer. I can't preview the next episode because I don't know what it is going to be about. The team right now has homework before they pick a project. And by the way, there's 3 other teams that I haven't talked to. I have a guess what they'll come back with based on our list. And I'll be honest about whether my guess survives contact with reality. That's the rule for this series. Production over potential, as Signetti would say. Probably right is the new done. We're going to get some of this wrong. That's the point of doing it in public. If you're running something like this at your own company and you want to compare notes, find me. The whole reason the show exists is for those conversations. Thanks for listening.